too big to get up there, and then the water should it stay shut. And the couple behind me, they are huffing and they're clicking and they are mumbling, and as she's standing there, they are shuffling closer to me, as if, this urgency will really show her that she is messing up everything. And I'm cracking up because, we're all going to get there at the same time. And as I'm sitting there laughing at them, I'm thinking, well, it sounds like take your time means go slow. But actually, sometimes speed is valuable. Sometimes quick is very important, like that very same day I was sailing on a yacht on the bay there in Cape Town in very, very strong winds, a windy day, and the captain of the yacht had to depend on quick. The crew had to deliver quickly. Because when the direction of that wind changed, they had to shift all kinds of things into different positions. Fast. They had to be quick. But not panicked. Quick, but not indignant. Quick, but not huffy. Not fussy. Not controlling. Not angry, not resistant, you know what I mean? So I watched them be quick, and I noticed that at the same time there was calmness in them too. And so it reminded me that taking time is not so much about speed as it is about awareness. So then take time can be like the kind of awareness you have where you really enjoy your food, whether you're a fast eater or a slow eater. Or the kind of awareness where you really listen to music. It can be fast music or slow music, but it's not just music to cover over some background sound all the time. Or it's the kind of awareness where you are really present to listen to somebody, whether it's a fast conversation or a slow conversation. I guess what it's about is being there. And the key for me was really in watching that crew on the yacht, because quick was part of the function of success for them. But when quick shows up in me, like in things like shopping or walking or eating, and that quick is driven by some other unrelated urgency, I don't feel like I'm being self-loving. I feel like I'm tearing myself apart. And then that's where there is room for me to practice slowing down to the speed of being there, no matter how fast the activity is. And then, you and I can do that and then evaluate, does this feel better? Does this feel like a self-loving action to be here? And it takes a little discipline, which is the second point. I mentioned that word is kind of tricky for some people. They don't like discipline. Discipline yourself to follow your heart and not your impulse. Well, discipline's a beautiful word. It means to be a disciple. And what does a disciple do? A disciple is obedient. So what does that mean? That means just for this week then, to be obedient to the kind of activities that express self-love in your life. To agree with them. Standing in airports for long periods of time. Oh, you learn so much. Because they have shops with things in them that you don't need. But they are beautiful things. And they call to you from their packages. You could easily get into impulse shopping. I was thinking about impulse shopping, standing there at the airport, and I thought, there's something to learn from impulse shopping. Now, you know what I mean when I say impulse shopping. The kind of shopping where you get home and you can't remember exactly why you bought it. Or you get home and you never open the box. Or you get home and you do open the box, but you never use it. Or you get home and you do open the box and you use it, but every time you use it, you have this empty, dull feeling that goes along with, why is this here? Now, not all impulse buying is wrong, but sometimes you have the inspiration, you identify the right thing, you buy it, and it all works out well. I know. I'm talking about that thing that is like time-wasting or life-wasting activities, habits. The kind of things that leave you nowhere different than if you didn't do them. They're just the kind of things that you just do when you're standing around the airport of your life. You know what I mean? Or worse, the kind of things that after you've done them, you feel dull and empty. I've talked to a lot of people about these kind of habits, and sometimes they say they don't even understand why they do them. I know what they mean. Maybe we've just done them for so long that now they're a habit, a routine. Here's an exercise to find out if you have them. You can ask yourself, what is the first thing you do when you get home? Or what's the first thing you do when you get up in the morning? I looked at that and I realized that when I used to get home, the first thing I used to do was to turn the TV on. Why? Couldn't tell you. How much time did it eat up? Too embarrassed to tell you. How did I feel about it as a result of doing that? Well, actually, when I started looking into it, nothing. It was nothing. It was empty. It was dull. A life eater. And so I started to look into that and see how I needed to discipline myself, or rather how I needed to be obedient to different kind of activities, anything that would allow me to feel self-love, a goodness about what I was doing. And in the beginning, I suffered from a case of perfectionism. Because, if I couldn't paint a whole landscape in 5 minutes, then it's not going to be worth it. But I didn't mind watching TV for 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? So in the beginning, I had to learn how to be satisfied with really small portions. But friends of mine who are writers say, actually, that's how you do it. You write a little bit every single day, even if it's one word, even if it's a sentence, and then over time you have developed this writing muscle. I have a friend who paints miniatures. And part of his discipline is every morning to paint just a tiny little bit, because that's about how big the canvas is, so he can only just, And what that reminded me of is actually that discipline doesn't have to be painful. That even walking 5 minutes a day can open the gateway to running a marathon. I understand that because, 4 years ago, I couldn't run around Spring Lake. And I had to walk a little bit. Once a week, and then twice a week, and then over a period of now I can. So I know that's possible. I know it is. This is a side note, and it has to do with discipline. And I just mention it because, I noticed traveling around the world that people's attitude towards us Americans has shifted over time. People used to admire us for our ingenuity, our philanthropy, our discipline. But it's not so. In general strokes, what I find now is mostly people think of us as, lazy and undisciplined and self-centered. That's what I encounter most of all. Now, that may not be true of anybody in this room, But I know what it does for me is that it reminds me to not be part of whatever creates that image, for me to stand in my discipline and be obedient to things that make me feel in love with being who I am, The third point is about being inspired, What I love about traveling around the world, even if I encounter opinions like that, is that it inspires me to think. I love that. Sometimes it's hard, but I love that it inspires me. I love traveling with folk from this community. We go places and we